What's up, guys? It's your boy Dalton here, bringing you the long waited for deck profile. But it's not going to be a typical deck profile. It's going to be more of a guide for you guys, because this is what I'm kind of running. You guys probably won't want to run some of the cards I'm running, but this is what I'm doing for this construct deck. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, we have the Steel Rending Wings, Bladewing Phoenix as the buddy, because that triple attack is nasty. Start off with our size 3s. I run 2 copies of a Gadelgoamer. Only reason why I run Gadelgoamer is for the fact of it's 8,000 power. You need something to get over some walls. You're not going to get over everything, but it's still nice to have. And it can pop your opponents left and right to gain an additional crit, and it has Soul Guard. Very decent size 3 for the deck, and also works well with Good Boy Flute. So keep that in mind. Up next is size 2s. Obviously, 4 of the buddy. Very simple triple attack for 2 gauge. Can't argue for that. I also run 2 of the OG Bladewing Phoenix. Simple double attack for a gauge. Can't go wrong there. Next, I run the Jade Golem. Basically for life gain, so you have another source besides buddy calling to gain life. So it's a nice little spamming technique I like to try to pull off. Other gauge gain is running 2 Bladewing Immortal Phoenix. Basically, you have to run the Bladewing lineup for this deck. Bladewing is your go-to. You need Bladewing. But if you feel like the ratios are a little off, you can always change it yourself. And finally, for round off size 2s, I run Steel Golem. Basically for the redirect, it's a nice wall. You can wall quite nicely with that card. It's quite amazing, and it's kind of trolls your opponent at the same time. That's basically the size 2s that I run for this deck. Let's move on over to the size 1s. Run 4 Kazane. You kind of need to run Kazane. Kazane is Bay in this deck. For most of you. This isn't my go-to Bay, even though she does get double attack. The next card here, this is the go-to Bay. Tempting Trickster, Iyan. Some of you are wondering, why in the world is he running a trap monster in this construct deck? It's basically, she's pay gauge, search for a trap monster, so you can search her out again. But basically, I'm using it to shuffle the deck, especially if the deck seems like it's starting to brick. So I'll say I draw her, but I'm not getting anything else. And like I have a bunch of spells. It's like, all right, Bay Gauge, call, search for another copy. So you have another monster next turn. And then just basically, hopefully the deck unclogs itself after that. So you can start getting to all of your other combo pieces. That rounds up size 1s. The size 0, the most important card of this deck, and the only size 0. We gotta run the Demon Lord, Ergos Marh, whatever his name is. Basically, rest him, call a construct without paying its call cost. This card, I'm surprised, has not gotten errata yet for how broken it can be, especially with Good Boy. It's a fairly broken card in this deck because you can call all of your construct cards from drop zone without paying their call costs. It's kind of broken in my eyes, but it's a 4 of staple you need to be running for. If you're not running 4, you're doing something wrong. Off into items. Run double Adventurer's Staff. Basically, gauge gain. You don't need to get engaged too badly in this deck, but it's still a nice source, and it's a 6,000 beat stick because you typically do run an open center in this deck, but just in case you don't get your Good Boy Flute out, that's your other go-to. Speaking of Good Boy Flute's Good Boy, you run 2 of that, basically to go more attack, more aggro, more rush style. This is more long game rush style, so you have your whole depictations for each thing, so you got something to go off of. So basically, if you're facing more wall-ish decks, this is the card you typically want to go into. Otherwise, if it's mirror match or even another low defenses. This is the one you want to get into. That kind of wraps up the items. I do kind of want to bump up one of them to 3, but I'm not quite sure which one yet. On to spells. Gotta run 4 Divine Protections of Shalsana. Basic Nullify. You gotta run 4. If you're not running 4, you're doing something wrong with your life. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. And then 4 of completely blanking on how to say any of it. Cascade. Need to have this reducer because aren't too many nullifies outside of Sylvana in Dungeon World, so you need something else to cooperate with damage being taken. So it's a great 4 of staple in the deck as of this moment until Bushi decides to release some more. Come on, Bushi. You know you want to. Next, something most of you probably also didn't see, just like the Trickster. 4 Rolling Punch. Basically, it's another way to deal with big wall decks because it does destroy any monster on the field by discarding 2 dungeon enemies. Guess what all your construct cards are? Dungeon enemies. Works perfectly. A lot of my friends, especially Jacob, he thinks this card's not too necessary, but I'm like, this card comes in clutch a lot. Sure, I might not use it all the time, but if I can use it, I will use it if I got to. Next, 3 Bunny Call. Bunny Call basically to protect the size 0. That's the main card you want to protect. With this, or even the redirect card, it's just more of the stalling mechanism to the deck, which is weird with a rush deck to stall in a sense, but it's fun. It's fun. But definitely at 3 copies. Next, 2 Golden Treasurebox. This card never fails, except when you get the size 0. Which for some reason recently I've been getting a lot of, especially since I run more size 2s and more spells. You would think it'd always be a plus, but that's the only time it's a negative. Only time. Next, 2 reset buttons, because Gauge is nice sometimes, especially if you have Immortal Phoenix in hand and you've just went on an onslaught on your opponent for like 5 attacks and you're just like, why not 2 more? Because 2 more would be fun. Lastly, to round out spells, 2 benefits. I love benefit. Basically, life gain, a little bit of gauge gain with it, but it's mainly to protect some of your monsters. Protects them there. And that basically wraps up this construct deck. If you guys got anything that you would do differently or you have more questions on it, please leave a comment down below. I will try to answer as many as I can. Then again, that requires me to not be watching my subscriptions on YouTube, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what I can do on that. We'll see what I can do on that. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe, hit that bell to get the notifications, though, because you know you want to. You know you want to. And stay classy, y'all.